Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. This video is going to be a part of series where I'll be sharing my daily learning and with the intention of working and enhancing my communication skills. Uh, so recently I was uh, getting interested around the topic of gut health, how one can take care of his gut and gradually work upon mm, increasing the efficiency of one's digestive system and his specifically his gut health. So first of all, so today, so around the topic, I recently started reading a book which I'm reading several books. So one of the book is around the health, written by Mukesh Bansal. Its name is Hacking Health. So I'm reading around a paragraph a day uh, because I'm bit running a little bit busy with other schedules as well. So I have given myself a task of reading a paragraph a day around some new information around the health. And along with it, I'm also listening to a podcast which is done by Huberman around the gut health, how one can take care of his gut health. So yes, coming to the topic, without further ado, for the first question arises is what is gut? So exactly a gut, when we say gut comprises of everything which comes in between from the mouth to the anus. So your mouth, esophagus, it even includes glands like salivary and all the the glands or the secretions which are done by the pancreas and the liver, gallbladder. Okay, the bile juice which is created in the liver. So yes, so every organ which comes in the gastrointestinal tract, so it is a part of gut. Okay, and no, sorry, I made a mistake. So let it be. I'll be correct. I'll be correcting that mistake in this video only instead of shooting another one. Gut comprises of stomach and intestine. Okay, and gastrointestine consists of everything from mouth to the anus. So that is, gut only consists of stomach and the intestine, both large and small. Let me correct here as well. And stomach. So yes, coming to the topic, what I learned today, and I'm surprised that I grasped a lot of information around the topic, but still the podcast is a bit remaining because it's a long podcast. As we all know, Huberman is in the habit of shooting long videos. So yes, so we all know what gut is exactly is. Okay, so now let me cut down the chase. Long story too short, when it comes to gut health, we have got so many microorganisms, little microorganisms which we can't see with our naked eyes, are residing in our intestines, especially the large intestine, and in more specifically a colon, colon, which we call colon in the large intestine. Colon is the largest part of large intestine, and it is generally the terminal end of the intestine portion. So it is called the colon, not the entire large intestine. And the colon is a part where all the microorganisms reside in our microorganisms reside. So when we say gut bacteria, the bacteria which are residing in our gut, so it doesn't mean that they are residing in the entire body. Though there are kind of enzymes which are specific to certain locations. We have enzymes in our stomach and in our small intestine as well. But when we are saying good bacteria or the probiotics, so all those probiotics things are more specifically designed for those gut bacteria which are present in the colon portion, and to all those we call them microbiota. There's a term called microbiota. Let me explain to you what microbiota is. So microbiota is refer to all the living organisms which are residing in our body. So it doesn't specifically need to be in the intestine only, it can be in any part. And and we can't specifically say, it generally comprises both good or bad as well. So microbiota is all the organism, collection of all the organisms residing in our body are called microbiota. Okay. And there is another term related to which has been derived from microbiota, is microbiome. If you will listen to all those podcasts or read books, so you will find all these terms in there. So microbiome is kind of content which a microbiota or a bacteria contains, is called microbiome, the genome kind of structure. So which eventually helps us, or kind of we can say that, which eventually that biome which they consist is kind of beneficial to us. That's why they are a good bacteria, and helps us in maintaining a good health, overall health. As we all know, the health of gut or our stomach, not exactly stomach, the health of our gut is very essential for our well-being. As if you will browse it in the internet around the topic, if you browse around the topic, you will find that our brain or the neurons are directly connected to our stomach. So a good stomach or the good gut health is a symbol of your good well-being. Okay. So yes, so microbiota is all the organisms living inside our cells, and the microbiome is their content, what those bacteria contains in their body. So this is also done. So now let me sum up what I have read till now and heard in that podcast. So I was listening to a conversation between Huberman, and there is a doctor of Stanford School of Medicine, Mr. Suderman. I don't exactly remember his name. So yes, so in his entire conversation, if I bring out the main point, what he was trying to emphasize over there was, one should focus on ingesting more of dietary fibers. The diet should mainly comprise of foods which are high in fibers. So basically, we are often in the dilemma of, we need to consume more, or if somebody is into bodybuilding or working out, they often believe that they need to consume more, but that's not the case. We should emphasize more on eating not more but less with good quality of product. Okay. And let's say our our diet must consist of large portion of dietary fibers. Basically, if we say, if we look upon the internet, what fiber exactly is, fiber is an undigested, uh, our body doesn't digest fibers, uh, and when we consume foods like, let's say, banana or any pulses, so they have got fiber in it, but they are those fiber is has been combined with other ingredients or nutrients as well, like carbohydrate and all. So our body consumes all those carbohydrates, proteins, and the remaining portion, which is the fiber, it isn't digested by the body, so it simply passes from our bowel. The bowel is the intestine part, small and the large intestine, and it helps those enzymes. So those enzymes thrives from that fiber. Okay. So fiber kind of maintains the water balance in our intestines, as well as the sugar content as well. So it kinds of help those bacteria thrive on those intestines, and help them to digest whatever we have eaten. So essentially, it plays a vital role in our gut health, dietary fibers. So anything whatever we eat, we should focus on consuming more of dietary fibers. The or simply I can say that our diet should contain more of dietary fibers, and the rest, whatever the rest is, should be the secondary thing. The primary should be the dietary fibers, and then focus more on the proteins. Or instead, I won't say that just focus on dietary fibers, otherwise it is an undigested food. The purpose of fiber is to help the organisms living in your body to digest other part. If you're just going to consume more of fiber, then it is of no use. You are not going to get anything in your body. So it is essential that you consume other things as well, or focus on uh, eating the food products which are combined with fibers. Okay, so that way you can get a good balanced diet. That's why it is called a balanced diet. Balanced diet doesn't need to be like you are consuming everything in a day. In that case, you are not giving a rest to your stomach, so your body needs a rest, proper rest as well. Otherwise those organs will keep on working to digest that food particle. So you don't want that to happen as well. Otherwise they will get tired, and eventually your body will go on a toll. Okay, go for a toss kind of thing. So you need to ensure that you are giving proper rest to your stomach as well, but focus on food particle foods. And one more thing was he emphasized was both in the book as well as in the podcast, that we need to focus more on the plant-based diet. Okay, uh, we can go for non-vegetarian as well, non-veg diet, but the the diet which is imperative or vital for our mechanism, the mechanism which we have got innately we have got, is built for vegetarian diet. Okay, but often it is believed that our ancestors were hunter gatherers, but yes, they were. But recently I got to know through that podcast only that just consider those back those times. It wasn't sure for them as well that they are going to get a hunt every time they went out for their hunt, right? It wasn't like an easy peasy task for them. It takes a lot of courage. So oftentimes they were not getting any hunts. So they used to they had no other option other than relying on the vegetarian diet. So they used to feed more on berries, the tubers like sweet potato and all those kinds of things which are grown inside the soil or inside the land, like sweet potatoes, all these kinds of tubers, all those who has tubers. And he was sharing a fact that recently a survey which was done in a tribe which resides in South Africa, they found that, and they are still, the tribe is still living in that way of old times only, that in that primitive form. And they found out that the dietary fiber content in their diet is around 100 to 150 grams, and whereas the in the West the people are consuming around 25 grams of fiber only. So that's the like big point which we need to work upon. And though they are consuming such a long high quantity of fiber, still they have got big physique, they are enormous in size, they have got big muscles and everything. So if you'll have a good gut, then definitely whatever else you are going to eat, or like is it carbohydrate, protein, it will be consumed well by your body. So that will help in the long term instead of just feeding more and more. So that is another thing, consumption of high dietary fibers. And after that I was searching on what food part what are the various kinds of foods which are high in dietary fibers, and I got to know that there are several. If we say fruits, there are many fruits. Mostly every kind of fruit has fiber. If we see banana, which is high in carbohydrate as well as in fiber, apple and berries, oranges, mostly every kind of fruit. Then there are vegetables, especially all uh, these flower related vegetables like cauliflower, cabbage, broccoli, and all its related family groups, and all other vegetables are high in fiber. And along with it, when we come to grain, there is we have often heard the term called whole wheat bread and all. So whole wheats are a great source of fibers as well, dietary fibers. Now, I was searching what is the difference between a whole wheat and a wheat. Why we call it whole wheat? Because this is a really new term which has been, which is in a, uh, which is gaining a lot of traction nowadays, or from the last couple of years. Uh, so yes, what actually is a whole wheat? If you see a seed, let me give you an analogy from an egg. We can say egg, yeah. So a seed is just like an egg. Okay, just consider it as an egg. So earlier we were having wheats in our families, which we are called, or simply you can say highly processed wheat. So it is very fine, and in Hindi we call it maida as well. So it has a nutritional value, but it is high in carbohydrate. It is high in carbohydrate. Fiber is also there, but in large quantity carbohydrate, basically, which is starch, and other vitamins. When I'm saying processed wheat, it doesn't mean that anything artificial has been added over it. It only means it has been refined more. So what happens? Let me give you, as I was saying, an analogy of egg. So a seed is like an egg. Let's consider a wheat. So only difference is in an egg we don't eat the outer shell, but whereas in whole wheat, the wheat, we eat that outer part as well, the brownish part. So when we are refining a wheat, what happens is that we are removing the outer covering, okay, which is high in fiber and as well as other vital minerals. And within that shell there is a white portion, just like we have in the egg. So that white part is called endosperm. So endosperm, what is the purpose of endosperm? Is it helps the embryo when the food or when the flower, when any plant grows up from the seed. So that endosperm, that white part helps the embryo to grow, to that plant to grow. It's kind of a food for that plant. That's why it is high in starch. It's a storage of starch. So that starch is used by that little embryo to grow that plant. So that is endosperm. So when the refining process is done, that outer cover is removed, which is called, have you heard that word? I'm not sure whether we call it bran, BRAN. I'm sure you would have heard that whenever you are going to buy any wheat related item like bread, or maybe, yeah, wheat only, flour. So I'm sure you would have heard there bran. We call it bran, BRAN. So that outer layer is called bran, and within that bran there is endosperm, which I talked about, that white portion, and within that white portion there is also like a yolk, just like we have in egg. There is a called germ, GERM. That is the main embryo which we're talking about, that grows up into a plant, and that endosperm is a food for a germ. So in the refining process, the germ and the bran is removed, and only the endosperm is being processed into white, refined flour. Whereas in a whole wheat, the entire wheat is pressed to a finer molecules. So in that form, we are getting all the nutrients from it. So wheat was just one example of it. Whereas when it comes to cereals, I'll be coming to that as well, because I searched a lot around it today. What cereal and pulses are exactly are. So so the entire cereal family, the in the cereal family comes the wheat, barley, millets, corns, and rye. There is amarkant, and quinoa as well. So these all comes under the cereals part. And when we say the word whole wheat is mainly used for the cereals only. Okay. So now the another question comes is, what is a cereal and pulse? Okay. So the big difference I can say is, uh, simply I can tell you that cereals are harvested from I'll be going to other points as well. Let me begin from the very basic point. The cereals are harvested from a grass, okay, and whereas the pulses are harvested from plants. Now, another question comes up: what is the difference between grass and plant? So, all grasses are plants, but all plants are not grasses. Okay, the difference is of the only difference is of carbon consumption. The 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 grass are called C3 organism, whereas the plants are called C4 organism. The C3 organism are more adapted and efficient in consuming the carbon available in the environment. That's why the grass grow faster as compared to the plant. Okay, this was the main difference between grass and the plant. So this was grass and plant. So cereals are harvested from grass and pulses are harvested from plants. Now the cereals are which as I talked about wheat, rice is also a cereal, and barley, millets, rye, and all these things. These are rich in carbon, carbohydrate, and fiber. If you are consuming it in a whole wheat form, okay, whole grain form, uh, they are rich in fiber and carbohydrate. If you see the Indian diet, these are the staple food, the pulses and the cereals. So we have got a good quantity of fiber and carbohydrate in our diet. And cereals are also a good source of B6, B12, vitamins, calcium, phosphorus, and other minerals. And whereas when we see the pulses are low in carbohydrate but very high in protein. If you look upon any kind of pulses. So now there is also confusion upon what are lentils, pulses. So there is an umbrella term called legumes, and all these eatables, whether you say pulses, beans, peas, and lentils, these all are a part of legumes. Okay, legumes is basically uh, anything which is like forms inside a pod. Pod is, if you have seen, I'm not sure what we peas. Yeah, peas are have got an outer shell covering, right? That chicle, that is called pod. So and all these pulses, lentils, beans, they all have got a pod, so they all are a part of legume family, so they are called legumes. Okay, so yes, so pulses are high in protein. They also have got fiber, vitamins, and minerals. So this is the main difference between pulses and cereals. Now another thing comes up, which I discovered today, is called glycemic index. So what is glycemic index? Whenever we study about the topic simple carbohydrates and complex carbohydrate, so when I'm saying talking about carbohydrates, the emphasis is more on complex carbohydrates, not more exactly upon, especially more upon the complex carbohydrate. The simple carbohydrates are generally of no use. They have got most of the empty calories, and if you'll search for the examples of simple carbohydrate, you will find especially the junk food, mainly the junk food. So why simple carbohydrates have got that antagonistic view is because of they are, first of all, even in simple carbohydrates, if you look over the junk food part, you all know it has got a name of junk because of some reason, right? They have got no nutritious value. They only have got high. They are high in calories. So what does those simple carbohydrate does to your body is, your body, they have got simple molecules, so your body digests them very easily, and as a result your blood sugar level spikes very high, and those simple carbohydrates are digested very easily. So in a momentarily you will feel full momentarily, and afterwards you will all of a sudden you will feel hungry again. Now what does those simple carbohydrates does to your body is they makes you feel good. Generally the sugar content, especially the food which are high in sugars, are considered simple carbohydrates like soft drink and anything as other as well. So your brain nudges you to consume again that product because you felt good and you felt full as well. So again you eat those things, you again get a you get a high consumption of carbohydrate, simple carbohydrate which are of no use, that that peak in energy, and then again it goes down. So that's kind of a vicious circle you get into, and you start consuming more and more of those simple carbohydrates, whereas complex carbohydrates take time to digest, and they have got other and nutrients, minerals, vitamins which are essential for your overall well-being. Okay, so yes, the glycemic index is nothing but I can say a numerical value which is given to food products on the basis of, especially to carbohydrates, on the basis of how they affect your blood sugar level. So if you are consuming something, you suddenly feel highly energetic. It is because of the glycemic index, the how effectively or how fast they convert into are digested by your body, and they how they affect your blood sugar level. It is called glycemic index, and it range from 0 to 100. Till 50 it is low, and 50 to 70 it is medium, and from 70 above it is high. And anything which consists under the category of high glycemic index doesn't mean that it is harmful for you, because watermelon, banana, they all comes under, even the potato, they all are a part of high glycemic index. But yeah, moderation is the key. They have got high, they are high in content of carbohydrates, so you shouldn't devour upon them heavily, because ultimately they will raise your blood sugar level and it might harm you. But comparatively to the other items which are comprising in the list of high glycemic index, which are donuts, soft drinks, and all the processed foods, they are going to do a lot more benefit. I'm talking about the natural things, but watermelon and all those things, more as compared to all that part. You know that, because they are not just empty calories. They have got other nutritional benefits as well. So even a low portion of those things can help you a lot. Now there is another term which is related to glycemic load. So what is glycemic load? As I was searching about we consider why we eat watermelon when it has got such a high glycemic index. So anything which I told you, if a thing is naturally made and has got a high glycemic index, it doesn't mean that it is harmful for you. You shouldn't eat it. No, it means that you should eat it in a limited quantity. So from there, glycemic load, I got to know about the glycemic load. So watermelon has got a high glycemic index, but it has got a low glycemic load. So what exactly is glycemic load? Glycemic load in simple terms I can explain you as a marginal consumption, a marginal quantity of carbohydrate in per serving. So if you look at the watermelon, if you are consuming watermelon, a bowl, so do you think it is fully loaded with that carbohydrate? It's kind of a foam thing, right? FOM I'm talking about. I have got a bit of cough, so I'm not sure whether you can hear me accurately what I'm talking about. So yeah, it is mainly kind of foam. So it is not that densely packed. So even the per serving has a high glycemic index, but the load is very low. So it won't be affecting you. Let's say you eat a bowl of watermelon. If you press it, that weight is very low. Whereas if you compare it with any other thing like a same gram of pastry or anything else, anything processed, you will find that the glycemic load is very low in the watermelon. Same with banana and potato as well. So they are comparatively healthy. That's why I said it doesn't mean that you need to stop eating the foods which are high in glycemic index, especially the naturally formed, naturally originating food products. You need to eat them, but in a minimum quantity. If you are a healthy, normal living being, then you can eat them in an average manner, average per serving. But whereas if you are affected with diabetes or anything like that, then you need to consider of think of eating it, and maybe you can still eat it, but in a limited quantity. Again, I am not any doctor. You should visit your doctor before. If you are affected with anything like that disease, you should consider getting his advice upon that as well. So yes, that was all about today, what I learned today. I hope you liked this video, informative, and I hope this helped me as well in the way I'm speaking, and I'll make progress in it, because that's the motive of this, for making this video, to mutually help both of us. You by getting the quality content, not exactly quality content, I'm sure about that, but the facts I'm sharing, knowledge, and how it is helping me is the way I have to speak. So I'm getting used to in front of speaking to the camera. So yes, thank you for listening to me.